Are errors flooding your console after coding a new feature into your game? Maybe you asked an AI agent to assist you with your project and it broke it instead? Or maybe you edited your pixel art character, closed it, and now you want to go back to the previous version? That's where today's sponsor, Anchorpoint, comes in. Anchorpoint is a version control and asset management application built specifically for game developers and artists. To fix a recent change, you often simply use the undo functionality. But if you already have a whole game project and you need to add a new feature, version control lets you save the current state of the project. You do this by committing the changes you've made so far and pushing them to the repository, which is like a copy of your project stored either locally or on a platform like GitHub. To clarify, Git is a version control system itself, a free open source technology that tracks your changes. GitHub is a cloud service that hosts your files online so your whole team can reach them. And Anchorpoint, today's sponsor, is the app that syncs those files to GitHub for you and adds extra features like file locking, automatic Git LFS setup, and asset management. Now, if you implement changes to your code and they break your project, or you add an asset that doesn't work as expected, version control lets you instantly revert the changes to go back to the last working version. When I was starting out, I didn't understand how to use version control for Unity, and with little experience, I quickly gave up on projects that had errors I couldn't fix. Version control is a system that lets you back up your files, sync between computers, and collaborate with others. There are many version control solutions like Git. Git is decentralized, meaning every copy of the project keeps the full history right there on your machine. That's great for code, since text changes are tiny, but not so great for the large binary files games rely on, like 3D models and textures, which Git isn't built to store efficiently. If you add a 50 MB blend file to your repository, make modifications to it, and push the new version, the repository is now roughly double the size. That's because GitHub actually stores a copy of the whole model instead of just the changes. We would need to use the Git LFS system instead, and that requires a bit of manual configuration. Anchorpoint sets up LFS automatically under the hood, so your large files are stored more efficiently and you don't run into slowdowns as your project grows. It's free for solo devs on non-commercial projects using GitHub to store your repository. Indie devs get 50% off a paid plan, which also unlocks other Git hosting providers like Azure DevOps. You can use it as a version control system for Unreal Engine, Unity, and Godot. All you need is the Anchorpoint app. After installation, at the bottom, select the Connect Application button. Here, you can connect it with your GitHub account and it will guide you through the process. When you're done, just click the plus New Project button and use Browse to select the folder where your game project lives. Next, in the remote settings, I want to create a new GitHub repository, and lastly, define a .gitignore file for our specific game engine. Unity creates very large temporary files that we don't need to add to our repository. A .gitignore file defines the rules for which files to skip when committing changes. By the way, commit simply means recording the changes you've made to a file so that we can undo them. Push means taking our committed changes and saving them to our repository. Back in Anchorpoint, we can now press continue and specify a name for our repository. If we continue again, we can assign members to our project to collaborate with others. I'll select Peter the artist and create the project. When your project grows, you often want other people to help with your game. Version control lets me commit and push the changes I made to the repository, and now Peter the artist can pull them into his version of the project. Pull means downloading and integrating the changes committed to the shared repository. For solo devs with a PC and a laptop, version control lets you easily open and continue working on the same project on your second machine. For Unity devs, Anchorpoint has a free plugin on the Asset Store that, when added to your project, shows you which files are being worked on by other members. Here, Peter the artist is working on this 3D model, so the file shows as locked, letting me know not to edit it at the same time. This feature is part of the team plan. If I did edit it, we could create a conflict, meaning that when I pull the changes, I'd need to resolve it by deciding whether to keep my version of the model or the incoming one. Locking is especially useful when you have a second art-only repository. It's recommended to store editable 3D models separately from your game project repository, where you keep the smaller, non-editable FBX files. You'll want to manage and open art files through the Anchorpoint app, since here you can also see which files are locked. Let's open this 3D model and start working on it. If I made a mistake and already saved and closed Blender, in Anchorpoint I can click on Changed Files, right-click on the model and revert to undo my mistake. When you're done and want to commit your changes, describe what was changed and use the Sync button. When you sync, all the users of this project get access to the updated files. Even after you've synced, you can select the commit and click Undo Commit. Instead of deleting the old commit, Anchorpoint creates a new change that's the exact opposite, so you're back at the previous state. You just commit that fix with a message like fixed error and sync, and everyone pulls the fixed model. So now Peter the artist can pull the changes and the model is fixed on his end too. You can also commit changes locally before pushing them to the repository. For bigger features, programmers can use branching to work on new code in isolation, then merge it back into the main project when it's done. Anchorpoint handles that smoothly too. But it's a bigger topic, so I'll leave a link to a video about it in the description. To work in teams on your project, you do need a paid Anchorpoint subscription. Still, for most solo devs working alone, the fact that you can use Anchorpoint across most game engines and that it automates Git LFS setup so artists can easily use GitHub as a version control storage system makes Anchorpoint a tool worth exploring. The link is in the description, so be sure to check it out. Thanks for watching!